Namaskar, everybody. Welcome to Vistara Circle. Namaskar, those of you on Facebook Live and on YouTube. Welcome. We are here at Vistara Circle at the Kingstown Library in Alexandria, Virginia. We usually meet every Monday night, but this week we had to meet on a Thursday, so here we are. And we have a yoga class here in the beginning, usually, followed by kirtan and collective meditation. Tonight, this week, for the last few weeks, we've been doing this series on the chakras, so that's why we haven't had a yoga class. So tonight we just had kirtan, silent meditation, and now we are going to go into our seminar. In our workshop series on the chakras, tonight we will be discussing the Anahata Chakra. So, let's go ahead and get started. Now, we've been discussing the chakras and trying to understand them in different narratives, because what the chakras ultimately represent, you'll find, because many different traditions have different interpretations and, like I said, different narratives. But what they essentially symbolize is like the human condition. And so what we have been looking at here, what we've been noticing is that each chakra has like a theme, okay? So, like the first chakra, the Muladhara chakra, the theme is kind of like, some of our desires, like our higher purpose, sort of beginning a journey. And then the second chakra, we looked at many different narratives, but one of the themes that we saw there was this sort of the crude aspects of the human condition, like the reptilian sort of aspects. So we saw many characteristics there that you might see in a reptile, like a crocodile or a snake, like very ruthless. And then we saw the characteristics of the Manipura chakra, the third chakra, as kind of like animal, like mammalian, many animal types of instincts that human beings still have, like, envy, hatred, sadistic tendency. Those are some of the vrittis that we've been seeing there. And so that word vritti is the different emotions that are found in these chakras. So each petal of the chakra, as you can see in the, we'll show a visual of what the chakra looks like also here on the video, but each petal of the chakra is called a vritti. It's a different emotion. And so they mean something, and here in the Anahata Chakra, the theme now is a lot more sublime. Finally now, we are getting to the happy ending. That, we're getting to sort of the happy ending, meaning, of course, what would be the happy ending is the Sahasrara Chakra, okay? And so the Anahata Chakra is sort of like the transitional point into the more sublime aspects of ourselves. And what the Anahata Chakra basically symbolizes now, the theme here is, now we become human, okay? So when we reach this chakra, we transform. We are going beyond now the animal, the reptilian, and becoming human. And it is a very important chakra for this reason, because before we can merge with God or become God, let's say, or supreme consciousness, first we have to become fully human, okay? And so the Anahata Chakra, the characteristics, the vrittis that we will observe here in the Anahata Chakra, those vrittis are the characteristics of what makes a being a human being. So it's a very, very important chakra, one of my favorite chakras. So I think tonight we're going to go ahead and just get started and start talking about the, and I say that because the last few times we had a lot of review, so we kind of reviewed everything as we went through. But if you'd like a review for the previous chakras and these different narratives that we discussed, in other words, different ways to view the chakras, just please watch the previous videos that we filmed on the Muladhara, the Svadhisthana, and the Manipura chakras. So let's take a look at some of the basic characteristics here of this chakra. So then the color of this chakra is smoky gray-green. Okay, everybody see that? So the color is smoky gray-green. Now, you might wonder, why is this chakra considered smoky? All right? The reason is, one of the interpretations that I know of is because the Manipura chakra, what element does the Manipura chakra represent? Fire. So it's actually very, very hot. And this part of the body is very, very hot. So from the smoke that rises from that fire, that smoke then touches the Anahata Chakra, and that's why the color is smoky green. And the shape of the Anahata Chakra is the shape of a hexagon. Okay? So a hexagon is more like a stop sign. But another way to think about its shape is to visualize a six-pointed star. So to me, that's kind of my my favorite sort of representation, visual representation of this chakra, is almost like a Star of David, right? Like two triangles that are inverted, a six-pointed star. So that is the shape of the Anahata Chakra. And the element of the Anahata Chakra is air. Okay, so, which is kind of fitting because our lungs are here, right? Ours are the trachea, the breathing tubes and everything are in here. And so it represents air. And these chakras each have an acoustic root sound. And not only does the chakra have an acoustic root sound, but actually also the petals. Each petal also has its own sound. And the acoustic root sound for the Anahata Chakra is the sound Yung. It is spelled Y-A-M, but it is pronounced like lung, but with a Y. So it's like Yung. Okay? And here we also have the literal translation from Sanskrit. Anahata means unstruck holy sound. So let's take a moment to kind of connect with this chakra before we get into the vrittis, into the emotional tendencies that this chakra clusters. All right? So we can go ahead and sit comfortably. We can sit for meditation for a moment. And let's go ahead and close the eyes. And why don't we go just on a mini little journey here? Let's bring our minds actually to the Muladhara chakra, so the root chakra. So down there, in the very base of the spine, go ahead and visualize a golden yellow square. And try to find the nucleus of this golden square. And imagine that you can go through it and then rise above to the next chakra. So go into the chakra, to its central point, and then up the chakra now to the next station, which is the Svadhisthana chakra, located about 4 fingers above the Muladhara. And it is a white crescent moon. So get a nice picture of a milky white crescent moon in this area of the body. And now, again, go through the chakra into its nucleus and continue going upward to the next substation, up to the Manipura chakra in the area of the navel. And there you can visualize a red triangle and even blazing fire. And again, find the nucleus, the center of the triangle, and as if you could pierce through it, go into that middle part and then upward. up now to the Anahata Chakra, which is a six-pointed star. Its shape is a six-pointed star, and its color is green-gray, smoky green-gray. And let's connect with the element that this chakra controls, the factor in the universe that it controls, which is the aerial factor. So let's go ahead and start some deep breathing from the diaphragm. As if with each breath, we can touch the essence of this chakra, the Anahata Chakra. And take a moment to connect with also the air out on the earth, in the sky, in the universe. All of the aerial factors of the universe are controlled by this chakra. And remember its root sound, acoustic sound, which is yang. Let's go ahead and say that together. And as you say the sound, imagine that it is resonating the nucleus of this chakra. So, yang. We'll do it 2 more times. Yang. Yang. And let's open the eyes. So were you able to feel any kind of sensation here in the area of the chest?
Slight vibration.
Okay. So yeah, the Anahata Chakra is located right in the middle of the chest. Okay? All right. So now let's go ahead and get into the different emotions that this chakra represents, that it sort of holds. So let's start with the one here that says Asha. And the meaning of Asha is hope. So, you know, it's a beautiful, actually, vritti to start with. Because Asha means hope. And so any time that a human being is feeling hope, we are in this chakra. And we can already start to see, if we begin with that one, the difference between this one compared to the other chakras. Okay? And hope is, it's actually, you know, today, in fact, there's another sort of narrative to help connect with this chakra too. If you think of sort of like this idea of light, you know, light in the universe. In fact, there is also in Tantra, you know, the founder of Tantra is Shiva. He was the first Tantric Guru who systematized Tantra 7,000 years ago. And he was a powerful, powerful guru who was basically like the supreme consciousness, you know, reincarnated in human form. And so he had a lot of power. And it is said that the eternal transmission of light of Shiva is located in the Anahata Chakra. So one beautiful way to connect with the Anahata Chakra, just now we did a short meditation to connect with it, but another way is actually to visualize light in this chakra, a lot of light. Even though the factor that controls light is the Manipura chakra, but still here you can visualize light. And so in connecting with that light, you can feel this sort of eternal transmission of light that comes from Shiva. And I like this vritti here, hope, because actually earlier today I was chatting with Jayati, and she was telling me that like hope, represents almost like a light. Because think of the times when you feel hopeless. Think of the times when you feel depressed, like you're in a dark place in your life, But if suddenly something gives you hope, a person comes and treats you nicely, or something good happens to you, and now you can see a light at the end of the tunnel, that is called hope. So it's interesting how there is, we believe that there's a special kind of light in this chakra, and then there's also this vritti of asha, hope, which is literally a lot of times, hope is like a light in life. Okay? Hope can also be misguided. I mean, how many people do you know make, for example, vision boards, right? They make vision boards, and in their vision boards they have things like Mercedes-Benz, and so, or like, hundreds of thousands of dollars in the bank. And so they put out these things into the universe because they want to acquire a Mercedes-Benz or a lot of money, and so they have hope for that. That vision board is like a symbol of hope for them to attain those things. And so you see, hope then can also be a little misguided, because you could be hoping for the wrong things. At least in terms of putting too much attention to hoping for material things.
Anything. Be careful what you wish for. Like, even wisdom, I wished, and I got it, but it was extremely painful.
Yeah.
And
right.
With experience, you gain wisdom.
Yes. Exactly. Thank you, Edwin. He said, in case you didn't hear, he said, be careful what you wish for. That's kind of what we're talking about here. I mean, even wishing for wisdom, wishing for knowledge, it can come with a price. And sometimes, even, let's say somebody does hope for knowledge, even though let's say you can cram a lot of facts into your head, that doesn't mean that you'll get inner peace. You'll just get knowledge. So, okay, so then asha is here, and that's a very beautiful propensity, and it's right here in the Anahata Chakra. So we'll keep going down. Let's go to chinta. So chinta means worry. So you see, worry is also it's almost like the other side of the coin of hope. If hope were a coin, its other side would be worry. Because what happens when you hope for things? You want them. And then sometimes your hope can lead to worry, because let's say that you're hoping that your band is going to, be selected to win a Grammy. Okay? And so you have that hope, but time goes by, days go by, and you're like, okay, but what if we don't win the Grammy? Right? And then now that hope has turned into worry. So you got to be careful. You got to be careful. It's interesting that these two vrittis are like right next to each other. Okay? And worry is something that is, a part of the human condition. And some of us don't know how to handle worry. Have you ever met somebody who is like, okay, I see some hands here, who worry like all the time? Some people who worry, it's sad, right? It's almost like an addiction. Speaking of that, there's a nice way to cope with worry that Dadavi, he mentions, he taught us before. Dadavi is another teacher whom you can meet this Saturday, who he's going to be giving a seminar in Rockville. But, sometimes there's this nice way to control worry, and that is, a psychologist will tell you, look, it's okay if you worry a lot, but you can control that by timing your worry. So let's say that you're worried about something, then go ahead and take out a timer and say, today I'm going to only worry about this for 20 minutes. So then you take out the timer, you set it for 20 minutes, and then you start to worry. And then you think about this, think about that this might go wrong, and that might go wrong, and really, 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 really get it out, and really, really worry. But then once 20 minutes go by, then stop, and now try to enjoy the rest of the day. And those people that try that technique, they find it very effective. Okay, they kind of satiate that propensity to worry. So it's a part of being human, and it's also connected here in the Anahata Chakra. Next we have Chesta. Chesta means effort. Okay, effort. Effort. So in other words, willingness to do something, right? The effort to do something. So anytime we put some mental effort toward a goal, we are in this chakra and we are in this vritti. So that word effort, I really like that word effort. In fact, I connect it to the Buddha. The Buddha was a guru, an enlightened being who was not born enlightened. There are some gurus like Shiva, like Krishna, these types of gurus, we believe that they were born enlightened. They came already just to enlighten others. But other gurus like the Buddha, he attained enlightenment by way of his own effort. Through his own effort, he decided one day to sit under the Bodhi tree, and he said, I'm not going to get up from my meditation until I attain enlightenment, until I reach my goal. And so he was under that tree for some time. He went through many feats, many challenges came to him during his meditation. And I think the story is maybe 2 or 3 days or something. He was under the Bodhi tree, and finally he attained the goal. But how did he do it? Through effort, by virtue of his own effort. And those of us here in this room, we can use that to inspire us, and we will also hopefully one day attain this goal, the goal of our meditation, by way of our own effort. Okay, so when we have especially a spirit, when we put effort into something, especially spiritual effort, or effort into something spiritual, then, that's the type of effort that can pay off in a really beautiful way, like in this example with the Buddha. And we are, if we think about effort, have you ever heard the expression like lion heart, or like a noble heart, or or people say, man, you put a lot of heart and soul into this. Okay, what they mean is you put a lot of effort into this, but it's a special kind of effort. It's like we naturally associate it with heart. Like, man, he put his heart into that project. She put all of her heart into this relationship. So it's interesting that we have that colloquial expression, and we find that there's a correlation here in the Anahata Chakra, because that's where effort is. So effort also has a lot to do with the heart. Let's go ahead and go on to the next one. The next one is Mamata. So Mamata means attachment. But it also means, this vritti is also associated with the word love. A lot of times people ask, yeah, love is in the Anahata Chakra, right? Well, yeah, it's in the Anahata Chakra, let's say in this vritti, even though another literal translation for Mamata is attachment. Okay? So if we start with attachment, I think attachment can have like a negative connotation, especially like in a yogi context, right? We'd like to think that we are not attached to the material things of this world, attached to other people. We don't want to be sort of attached, because the trouble with being attached to something is that the desire for it can trap you. All right? I'll give you a perfect example. Does anybody here know how they catch monkeys in India? There's a famous monkey trap that works apparently very effectively. How to catch a monkey, because monkeys are like all over the place in India. If you go to Delhi, if you go to New Delhi, you will see monkeys like how here you see squirrels. Okay, so they run around everywhere. And does anybody know how they catch a monkey? With food, yes, that's one part of it. The monkey trap looks like this. What they do is they grab a coconut and they dig a hole in the coconut. And inside the coconut, they put delicious food. They stuff it with food. And the coconut is sort of chained to something. right? So the monkey comes around, smells, smells the food, goes to the coconut, puts its little hand into the coconut, grabs the food, and then is stuck. In fact, they even did a parody of this in The Simpsons. Okay, there's one, Homer Simpson gets stuck like this too. Okay, so his hand is stuck, and the monkey's hand is stuck, and then the monkey catchers come, they show up, and the monkey starts screaming. It starts screaming, but it's trying to let go, but it doesn't. Its desire for the food is so strong that it doesn't realize that it has trapped itself. If it could only let go of the food, it could wiggle its hand out and it could run away. But you see how attachment can trap us? We're no different than that monkey. Have you ever had a desire, a really big desire, that in a way paralyzed you? You might have had a desire for a person who, maybe some unrequited love. And you were so attached to that person, even though nothing could build from that relationship, that you were trapped. There could have been other people walking around those days. You could have gone out and met somebody else. But that attachment trapped you. And we tend to be attached in romantic affairs. And this chakra, very appropriate for this chakra, because this is the chakra of love. It's the chakra of heart. So we need to be careful. We need to be careful. Okay, so let's move on to the next one. The next one is called Damba. Damba. Damba means vanity. Dun dun dun. Okay, vanity. So vanity, we all, vanity means, as you know, it means the feeling that I am so great, or that I am so beautiful. For example, if today I gave you a gift, right? I gave you a gift, and then your friends come along and they say, hey, that's a beautiful gift you have. I might say, oh, I gave it to her. Or for example, think of somebody that does a nice service, like they donate a lot of money, and they post it on Facebook. They post their service on Facebook, and then after they post it, they sit there and they wait to see how many likes is that going to get. Oh yeah, see, this is a picture of me doing service, let's say in Africa. And so they'll come back the next day and say, okay, how many more likes does it have? Oh, now it has 30 likes. Now it has 50 likes. Now it has 70 likes. Yes, I'm so great. Everybody knows the beautiful deed that I did. And the problem is that now that beautiful deed that you did, it's still hopefully serving those people, let's say, but it is swelling you up with vanity. And that's not so good.
Would ego be in that
Ego?
part? Yeah.
That's coming up. Okay, Jayati, that's coming up. Yes, in fact, ego is in this chakra. We can skip ahead if you want. Ego is ahamkara, and it's okay to mention that now, because you see, ego and vanity have a very clear correlation. When we swell with because you see, the ego is the doer. We'll save this conversation for when we get to there, but for now I'll say, whenever you do anything, that's the ego. The ego is the doer. Okay, it's different from the part of you that is just consciousness. When you wake up in the morning, you are, oh, I'm awake, I'm back. I'm just consciousness. But then when it's like, oh, now I have to get up, now you become the ego. Now you're doing. But when you don't do and you can just be, like in meditation, you're just consciousness. We'll talk about that more when we get to ego. But when we do, we can swell with vanity. All of our actions, we want to be recognized for it, right? I want everybody to know how many degrees I have. Okay? So I will put all of my degrees on the wall. I will, put it in my bio, so vanity. Okay? And the trouble with vanity is that if it is not checked, it can waste a lot of time. It can waste a lot of time. Let's see, let's move on. I think we're going to come back to this briefly. So let's go now to Viveka. Viveka means discernment. Okay? Discernment. In other words, knowing right from wrong, knowing left from right, up from down, success from failure. Discernment. This vritti, I think, in my opinion, is the most important vritti of this chakra. It is the most important propensity. Okay? Because thanks to this vritti, we can take control of our lives. We can know right from wrong. I'll go ahead and... Now, another word for this vritti, another word for, what did I say, discernment, is conscience. Your conscience. You know, like in the story Pinocchio, if you saw the Disney movie Pinocchio, Jiminy Cricket was Pinocchio's conscience. How many of y'all saw that one? Okay. Jiminy Cricket was Pinocchio's conscience. The fairy godmother says, she tells Pinocchio, when she makes him, oh, interesting correlation. When she makes Pinocchio a real boy, in other words, a human boy, she says, always listen to your conscience. And that's what we need to be doing as human beings. Always discerning right from wrong. Listening to our conscience. And so, and Jiminy Cricket was Pinocchio's conscience. And that's how he became real. You see, we become human when we have a conscience. You know, animals don't really have this so much. Think of a dog. A dog will poop anywhere. It doesn't measure, is it appropriate to poop right now in front of my owner's guest? No way. All right? So a dog will mate another dog in front of children that are walking around. It doesn't think, is it appropriate right now for me to be having sex in this park here with children? So you see, it has no conscience. It has no sense of discernment, or at least not a very developed sense of discernment. We human beings do. So we'll give one analogy when it comes to viveka, when it comes to discernment. So here we go. There's a beautiful analogy. So think of a chariot, all right? A chariot. Imagine right now a chariot in your mind with 5 horses. And imagine that there is a charioteer. And the charioteer is sitting in the carriage, right? He's got the reins that hold the horses. When he wants the horses to stop, he pulls the reins. He knows how to control the horses by the reins. Okay? So the analogy here is this, is that let's say that those 5 horses represent the 5 senses: sound, sight, touch, taste, smell. Okay? We have those, don't we? And so sometimes, let's say taste. Let's say that, you know, we have a desire right now to taste something like, I want right now some mint chocolate chip ice cream. Okay? So I suddenly developed that desire, and right now I can almost taste it. Okay? So I have the taste for that. Now, I might go to the store and buy it, take it home and start eating it. Okay, that was 1 cup. Oh, I'll have another one. Okay. Ah, that was so good. But I think I want more, but maybe I shouldn't eat more. So that right there is the discernment. But the taste, sometimes our senses are stronger than our sense of discernment. Even you just because of how good it tastes, you're gonna eat more, and then next thing you know, now you're like, there's only a third left. And what happened? Who won there? Did your sense of taste beat your sense of right and wrong? I think that's what happened. Or any other sense or desire, like, you know, we have the desire for touch. So you want to, the point is that your senses will run amok they will govern your life, they will run your life if you don't control them. Just like those 5 horses. If the charioteer is not in control of the 5 horses, and the charioteer wants to get from point A to point B, do you think that he'll be able to if the horses are in control? Or sheep? Not at all. The horses, one horse will want to go that way, another one will want to stop, one will want to eat, and the charioteer will be like, come on guys, we have to get there. Or the charioteer will wonder, why have I not reached my goal? What's going on with me? It's because a lot of times in our life, our organs are controlling us. We are not controlling our organs. You see what I mean? The way to control our senses and the way to control our organs is through this priti, through discernment. So in that analogy, the 5 horses are like the 5 senses, and the charioteer is like let's say your consciousness, your sense of self. And so then what are the reins? The reins are discernment, your conscience. So we need to have very strong developed discernment. Very strong. If you have made a goal and you said, every day I'm going to meditate at 7 a.m., that is the goal. That is now my new task. Right? Well, your eyes are going to maybe want to watch another episode of The Office at 10 p.m., right? So, but you know in the back of your head, but tomorrow I wanted to wake up at 7 to meditate. If I watch another episode, will I be able to do that? Oh, I don't know. The Office is so cool. Let me just watch it. So who has won? Your sense of sight. But even though you knew that was the wrong thing to do. So if you make a goal and you say, every morning I'm going to meditate at 7 a.m., for example, the number one tool that you have to complete all goals is this vritti of viveka. Because it will help you set limits so that you can be successful. It will make you take control of your behavior. Okay? All right. So viveka is very important. Let's go on to the next one, vikalata. Vikalata means mental numbness due to fear. It's kind of a mouthful, right? Kind of awkward phrasing. Mental numbness due to fear. So one way that this vritti can be interpreted is as depression. All right? Fear is actually in the Manipura chakra. It is one of the vrittis, Vaya, in the Manipura chakra. But here, vikalata is mental numbness. So a lot of yogis interpret this one as depression. So, depression is something that has to do with the heart a lot of times, right? Like, we have the expression, she broke my heart. He broke my heart. Okay? In other words, betrayed my love or made me feel depressed. So, our depression sometimes, have you ever felt that? Think of a time when you might have been depressed. Did you ever feel a pain in the chest? Did you ever feel an affliction coming from the chest? You might have. And I can relate to that. Sometimes in my life when I've been depressed, I can remember like my tears are coming from here. Like I have, this is like clogged. Okay, and I can feel it coming from here. So depression is in this chakra. And we get a lot of depression from romantic things and a number of other things. There's kind of a correlation too with vikalata and asha, hope. We said sometimes when we hope can lead to worry or hope can lead to depression. But the way to get out of depression sometimes is precisely hope. Today too we were chatting and we were saying, same conversation with Jayati, we were saying that sometimes there's people that go to do service. So let's say they go to a village, a remote village, to do some service for those people. And they go and maybe they brought limited supplies, like they only brought so much food. So they go and they've distributed the food, okay? So now they're thinking, well, okay, we're done. We did the service, now we can leave, and because we have nothing more to offer. And it's possible that the people there might say, no, wait, stay. No, it's okay, stay. Because just your presence is enough for us right now. You may not be giving us something, but just your presence is giving us hope. Right? So sometimes, so you see then hope and depression has a correlation. And what we want to do in life is we want to have this chakra very developed so that we embody that light that is within it that we were talking about. And we can be a light to other human beings. Wouldn't it be nice to be the type of person that when you walk inside a room, you make people smile, you bring hope to people? That is a life well lived, right? And you can be that kind of person if you strengthen this chakra. You can strengthen that inner light so that people can almost see it. And if they don't see it literally, they will see it by way of hope. So that is vikalata, depression, mental numbness due to fear. Now let's go to the next one. The next one is ahamkara. It means ego. Okay? Now the word ego gets a bad rap, I think. In many, many spiritual traditions, the ego is like the enemy. Ego is like the worst thing you could be. The worst possible thing on the planet is ego. Like everything that is bad, they ascribe it to the ego. But in Tantra, the ego has a very practical, simple definition. The ego is just the aspect of your mind that thinks, I do something. It is the doer. So, in other words, by way of that definition, then an ego can be good. Because tonight you thought, maybe I should go to Vistara circle. So, your ego then went. Your ego thought, I should do something. I should go meditate tonight at Vistara circle. So you see, in that case, the ego was good. Because the ego, quite simply, is just the doer. The problem is that when we get into trouble with the ego when we think that doing is going to make us happy. So many people right now are chasing happiness. How are they pursuing happiness? By way of wanting to do something to acquire it. So they say, okay, I will start a business. I will save this much money. I will buy this and I will sell this. Doing. And yes, by way of that, you will get some gratification. If my business works out, I will be happy. I will be fulfilled. But it's all limited. Because, my business today makes me happy, but if tomorrow one of my employees has done something wrong, now my business is also creating stress in my life. So all of the physical things in the world can have a good effect, but they can also have a negative effect. So if we are trying to attain happiness by doing, because there's two types of happiness. There's happiness by doing, which is the happiness you get from having done something. And then there's happiness by being. Happiness by being is when you are just happy by just being. Like, have you ever gone hiking and you're in this beautiful, beautiful natural setting, and suddenly it's almost like you're not even doing anything anymore, but you just feel so at peace. The nature has just enveloped you. You become entrained with nature. Now you feel just calm. You don't need anything else at that moment. Or when you practice meditation, when you meditate, you are kind of putting the ego on hold and just trying to be consciousness. At least if you're practicing tantric meditation. So there you will experience some happiness. And that type of happiness is more called something like ananda, which is bliss. There is more to life than happiness, because happiness is dependent on whether you get what you want, especially if that's the type of happiness that's based on doing. But if you find the type of happiness that's based on being, like when you are consciousness, and then you try to take that consciousness and merge it with the supreme consciousness, now you've attained Ananda. It's way deeper than happiness. We call it bliss, and it is infinite. Should we attain that state? Okay? So the ego gets a bad rap, but actually the ego is extremely helpful. Without it, you wouldn't do all the beautiful things that you do. The problem is that when we do, and then we get vanity, so now we can connect ahamkara with damba, or ahamkara with chinta, or many of these other ones, then we get into trouble with ourselves. We suffer. Okay? So,
I mean,
yes?
you know, the ego is there for survival. It keeps you alive,
Okay,
right?
exactly. He said the ego is there for survival. I agree.
But also, it comes down to intention. Doing, right? The ego doing all these things.
Yes.
You could open up a business or open up whatever, or do whatever, right? But it's, you know, what intentions you have behind it. Is it, you know, I'm going to donate all this money so I can get all these likes on Facebook, or can I donate all this money to help all these people?
And be selfless.
That's two way different things.
Yes.
It comes down to intention.
Yes, absolutely. He said, you know, in case you didn't hear it, the ego, it has a lot to do with intentions. What are the intentions behind the action? You're absolutely right. You know, I'll be honest with you. Sometimes if I go to a restaurant and I sense that the food has been made with some negative vibration, or maybe even the server has come and just dropped the food on the plate, on the table, and I won't eat it anymore. Or if somebody has prepared food and I get the sense that they don't like me very much, I don't take that food. Because I feel like the intention behind the action is there and can affect me. You might call that superstition, but actually what I'm referring to is just energy. You know, yes. So I'm kind of going on a tangent from what Edwin said, but Edwin is absolutely right. The intention behind the action is very important. So for example, we have a practice called brahmacharya. In brahmacharya, we see everything as an expression of supreme consciousness. So that means then if I'm serving a community, like you gave that example about doing service, I'm not going to give service and thinking, oh, these poor people, I'm going to save them, right? I'm going to be the great savior, you know, for this village. And no, instead, we say these people are supreme consciousness in the form of, let's say, people in need. So when I serve them, I'm going to serve them by feeling like I'm serving the Supreme, because the Supreme is in everything. And so, Edwin, just like you said, if my intention then is not to serve a hopeless person, but rather I'm serving the Supreme in the form of someone who is suffering, then my vanity will dissipate, because now, you see, I also know that another thing is to say this too, that even myself, who am I? I'm also an expression of the Supreme. So I'm just an instrument. The Supreme works through me. So if I help people thinking that I'm an instrument for the Supreme, like a lot of people say, God, there's so many people that are starving, that are suffering, that are poor. Why doesn't God do something? You know, how come God isn't helping these people, right? Well, God did something. God made you. You know, you could help those people. And so if you choose to be an instrument for the Supreme and bring relief to others and bring service to others, then your vanity will be less because you realize that you are just doing the work of the Supreme.
Will close in 30 minutes at 9 o'clock.
So you're right, Edwin. The ego, we've already clarified, is not evil. It is very helpful and it is good in many ways. But the intention behind it is what can make it good or better. So that was a very good point. All right, so let's go on to Lotta. Lotta means avarice. Avarice or avarice, I'm not sure how you pronounce the word. Avarice, I think it's avarice or avarice. Basically, it means greed. In Spanish, there's a word, avaricia. So it means greed. And there's another vritti. Sometimes I myself get a little confused. There's a vritti in the Manipura chakra called Trishna, which means yearning for acquisition. So if I'm yearning to acquire things, to accumulate things, right? That's kind of like greed. Well, we see that again come up here in the Anahata Chakra, in avarice. It means greed. Now, we've talked before in other meetings that, you see, these vrittis can have a positive side and a negative side. So, in some ways, a little bit of avarice might be okay if you are desiring to acquire, let's say, a lot of spiritual knowledge. If that's your goal, that can be very helpful to your spiritual path, acquiring spiritual knowledge. So then, sometimes it won't be all bad, but on the other hand, the basic instinct of greed is very, very destructive, extremely destructive. Have you ever heard somebody say that sometimes human beings act worse than animals? Because when a human being when an animal hunts for food, it might kill one gazelle. Let's say a lion kills a gazelle for food. It'll grab it, it'll take it down, it'll eat it, and all the other ones will run away. But human beings are worse than that. Human beings will take not just one cow to feed their family. They will literally slaughter billions of them. Billions of them in a year. Chickens, cows, fish, etc. Right? They don't just take one for food for the day like a lion does. No. They appropriate all of them and then they kill them, they slaughter them. So, you see, in those ways, a human being sometimes acts worse than an animal, almost like a reptile. Okay? So, why would a human being do that? Why is a human being willing to cause so much suffering, let's say to these cows, to these animals? Why? For money. It's a business. And for money, people are willing to do unspeakable things. For money, people are willing to cheat. People are willing to lie. People are willing to steal. People are willing to commit genocide, like we just, pointed an example. And the desire for money is called greed. And so you see, greed, actually, when it is uncontrolled, right now on our planet, it is more destructive than anger. At least in our society, we have laws to limit anger. If today you get angry, let's say you get really angry at somebody, if we didn't have the right laws, your anger could make you go murder that person out of anger. But almost every country in the world today now has laws against murder, and therefore indirectly has laws against anger. But in our society, we have no laws whatsoever to limit greed. No laws. That's why we live in a society where the CEO can make 400 times more than the lowest employee. At Walmart, the people are making, let's say, $7.50, but the executives are making like $2,500 an hour. And the lowest employees are making $7.50 an hour. Those people still have to go on welfare. They still have to get government assistance. And in that way, the government is like subsidizing Walmart wages. But so you see, greed then is something that it is very human if you think about it. What animal do you see cause so much destruction like that. And human beings, why do we have so many wars? Because weapon manufacturers make money from wars. So again, money is driving that. Greed drives that. Okay? Excuse me?
Those are the want to have more power.
There's also the greed for power. Jimi Hendrix has that beautiful quote, right? When the power of love will overcome the love of power, the world will know peace. What is the love of power? It's almost like greed. So we see this very ugly propensity in the Anahata Chakra. And we see that it is very human, this greed. But this is one of those vrittis here that we really, really need to control. One way to control the Lotta is through a yama called aparigraha. Aparigraha means you develop the habit of just taking what you need. You don't feel like you need to take everything. You just take what you need in life. If you're going to buy something, think, do I really need this? I don't think I really need this. I won't stuff it in my house just to accumulate more things. So practicing aparigraha will help us to strengthen the Anahata Chakra, and in particular, control this vritti. So let's go on to kapatata. Kapatata means hypocrisy. Hypocrisy. So there are, different types of hypocrisy. There is like the hypocrisy of, obviously, saying one thing, doing another, betraying people. There's many sort of different examples of hypocrisy. Do you all have any thoughts on hypocrisy?
It's a very easy trap to fall into.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Like, even from an ethical point of view, sometimes we find ourselves given advice or setting out rules that we don't keep.
Okay.
Or advice that we don't even
follow ourselves.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, exactly. It's a trap for ourselves.
Yeah,
We don't feel good when we're being hypocritical. Hypocrisy also has to do with like talking behind people's back. In front of them, I will smile at them. Oh, hi. Oh, how are you today?
Everybody's politically correct, huh?
Okay,
Yeah.
or being, yes, okay, there's that term, being politically correct.
Mm-hmm.
But hypocrisy can cause, in a way, like a mental ailment. I'll give you an example. If you think one thing, but then you do something else, then you've created a split in your behavior. You think something, but you do something else. There are some people who think one thing, do another, and then say something else. Okay? It's almost then like we kind of butcher our sense of self. Because ideally, we want to be the type of people who, what I think, I do, and I say. No, what I think, I say. And what I say, I do. You don't want to be somebody who, what I think, I don't say, and then I do something else. Then we create like a fracture in our behavior. Yes, Jai?
It's kind of like the thing to do as I say, not as I do.
When your mom
Yeah.
said, did your mom ever say that? You do what I say, not what I do. Right? You see, it's like, okay, Mom, well, who are you? Are you the one, who are you really? Are you the one who just acted, or are you the one who just spoke? And so then you don't know who your mother is. And that's what I'm getting at. Let's try to be the type of people that we are so clear-minded, so pure, that what we think we say. And what we say, we do. We don't have multiple things going on here. If we have too many multiple things, then we create psychic ailments. So, and then of course, there's a connection here to satya. Satya is another yama, which means sometimes you have to soften your words. You might be thinking one thing, like you might be thinking, your father has just died. That, you know, that's very, imagine having to break that news to somebody. So you're thinking that. And don't misinterpret me, you shouldn't then just say that, oh, your father died, you know. Like when I said, you know, say what you think. No, you're thinking that, but say that in the kindest way possible. Say that in the most benevolent way possible. For example, hey, can I talk, have a seat, have you had some food? You know your father's been, he's been ill. You know, we've all known that, and it looks like it looked like he was getting better, but then we saw that unfortunately his condition was worsening. So you see, I'm now getting to that softly. And then by the time I get there, the person might already understand what I'm trying to say, but the blow will be less.
Would you say that doctors practice satya every day?
Would I say that doctors practice satya? I don't know. I don't spend a lot of time with doctors. I don't know how they train themselves to break hard news. But I suggest that, I would hope that they do. Because sometimes you could just demoralize a patient if you tell them you have 3 days to live. You know? So, so then this is hypocrisy, and there's a connection with satya. Okay? All right. Vitarka. Vitarka means argumentative to the point of wild exaggeration. Argumentative. We'll just leave it at that, okay? But to the point of wild exaggeration. So the first thing that pops into my mind is my friend. I have a friend. His name is Praveda, or Daniel.
See your wife.
So my friend Praveda, he posted something, a meme on Facebook, and it was so cool. It was like, life's too short not to be arguing with strangers about politics on Facebook. It's a sarcastic meme, right? Life is too short not to be arguing with strangers about politics on Facebook. Have you ever fallen into that trap? You're arguing with somebody about politics, about what the Republicans do, what the Democrats do, and that thread is like, it reaches like 100 comments, and people are like, you just don't know what you're talking about, and you are this and you are that. Now those people have fallen into this vritti. They become argumentative to the point of wild exaggeration. Okay? And that is a waste of time. You know, there's some people out there, another interpretation is, you ever hear somebody say, okay, fine, I agree, I'll do this, but, or yes, but, you know, those people that cannot be wrong, those people that no matter what, they have to be right, even a little bit. Okay, fine, we can do that, okay, but I just don't like, you see what I mean? They cannot just let go. We fall into this vritti. So we have to, strengthening this chakra means that we can control that type of behavior.
At 9 o'clock. If you
Okay.
have any items that need to be checked out,
So,
please bring those to the checkout desk now. If you need help
those are the people from the library
library.
chiming
And
in.
if you have any items that need to be printed or saved from our internet
So anyways, let's continue here with Anuttapa. And this is the last one. Anuttapa means repentance. Repentance. Have you ever said something to your your partner, your husband, your wife, your spouse. And then the next day you write them a text and you say, I love you, honey. I'm sorry about last night. And then they come home that night, or you go home that night, and they give you a big hug and they say, I'm sorry about last night. I was wrong. I shouldn't have said that. You do take care of me. You do a lot for me. In that moment, that person is in this priti. They have experienced repentance. Right? And that has a lot to do with the heart. Because of your heart, you can be kind to people. Because of your conscience. Anuttapa and Viveka are also very correlated, because that sense of right and wrong, if you do the wrong thing, later you will feel, hopefully you will feel Anuttapa. You will feel repentance. You will realize you made a mistake. And you'll go to that priti. And the whole time we are in the realm of the heart. And we have to close. We can close with one last interpretation. There are many people right now that we can think of that are doing a lot of things. A lot of things. Okay? People acting with the energy of the Manipura chakra, which is the energy of action. Doing, action. The Rajasic energy of being active. But some people are doing a lot of things without any heart. Each chakra that is on top of the next has the ability to control the ones beneath it. If we only had Anahata and no more chakras above, it would be enough to control the chakras underneath. So what I'm saying is this. Many people do a lot of actions. I think of my family. My family is my mom's side, they're very business-minded. My mother is very business-minded. So there's a lot of people out there doing a lot. 5 in the morning they get up, they go to their restaurant, they open it, they do this, they count the money, they serve, they go home at 10 p.m. The next day again, 5 in the morning they get up, they go, they open the restaurant, they cook the food, they do and do and do and do and do. Okay? Or we do and do. I go to a party, I do this, I do that. We're doing and doing all the time, but sometimes we're doing so much without any heart. Think of what Hitler did, what Stalin did. Yeah, those people were very active. They did a lot, but what they did was monstrous. They did it without any semblance of the Anahata Chakra. They were purely in this Manipura sort of mentality. Anything that we do, just like Edwin was saying, we should filter through the Anahata Chakra. We should put heart in it. We should operate with the heart. If I want to make money, that's okay, but I shouldn't do it at the cost of exploiting others. If I do it that way, now I've done it without the Anahata Chakra. If I want to be successful, that is okay, but I should be successful with heart, with care. My success should never have to trump somebody else's success. And the way that we can avoid that kind of thing is by being and strengthening the Anahata Chakra and doing everything with heart, with discernment, and with love. So, yes, last thought, and then we have to close.
Right. The way I would look at the Anahata Chakra is like a lamp.
Like a lamp?
Each one of us have a lamp that is lit with fire. One of the way we can spread that fire is by spending more time with other people or through service. So the more you show kindness, the more you show love, or the more you do service, you help burn that light in that lamp brighter and brighter.
And your light can light others, like a candle that can light another candle. That was beautiful, Jayanti. That also encapsulates, for me, the spirit of the Anahata Chakra. We are all a light. We have the light, the eternal light of Shiva's light in here. And so that's been passed on to us so we can spread that light through our love and others can be kindled by it, right? Just like you said. So very nice. So thank you. Thank you for coming tonight. We will meet again this coming Monday. And we hope that you can join us here at Vistara Circle on Monday as well. Or this weekend, we have a seminar in Rockville and also a program in Washington, D.C. Just send a message to anybody, any one of us here or myself, and you'll get all the details. Namaskar.